Hey everybody, this is Tony, Taint the Lord A7, and I have a collection update. Picked up a few CDs this past week or two, some old, some new, and decided to show what I've picked up. So hopefully everyone enjoys this collection update, and let's begin. The first CD I'm going to show off is the new one by As I Lay Dying, Through Storms Ahead. Now, As I Lay Dying are a metalcore band that I did enjoy during my teenage years, during my high school years, and I do like a few songs here and there. And the only album I have from As I Lay Dying is the 2012 album Awaken. After that album, I totally lost track of what As I Lay Dying has been doing, and with the controversy surrounding the lead singer Tom the bassist, I just kind of drift off from this band. However, with the new one Through Storms Ahead, I decided to check them out and give them a listen and hear what they've been doing lately. And it's basically early 2000s metalcore. You know, it's riffy, it's thrashy, it's heavy, it's aggressive, and yeah, it definitely harkens back to the early 2000s metalcore era. And yeah, while this album doesn't really do anything different to change that, it's just a solid metalcore album that really takes me back to my teenage high school years when metalcore was my thing. And yeah, As I Lay Dying's Through Storms Ahead is a solid album. Now, I know a lot of people are not really too fond of this album and thinks it's all generic, and I can totally hear that, but I have a soft spot for this album, and this is just a really good, solid metalcore album. Heavy, thrashy, riffy, and aggressive, and I enjoy it. So yeah, As I Lay Dying Through Storms Ahead is in my opinion a solid album. So really glad to pick this one up. Okay, next up is the new one by the Black Dahlia Murder, Servitude. Now, I think we all know that we all know about the tragic passing of Trevor Stannard, and everyone was like wondering what the Black Dahlia Murder will do next after that tragic event. And lo and behold, they came up with a new album. And I think the Black Dahlia Murder's Servitude is a solid melodic death metal album. Maybe a little bit safe, but I think that's okay, you know? I think they just want to show that the Black Dahlia Murder is still a strong band and will continue being the band that everyone loves if they're into some extreme metal and some awesome melodic death metal. And the Black Dahlia Murder's Servitude is a solid melodic death metal album. Maybe a little bit safe, but still a solid album. It's riffy, it's aggressive, has amazing solos, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm really glad that the Black Dahlia Murder continued to put out music and still be active as a band. So yeah, the Black Dahlia Murder's Servitude, a very solid album from this band. I really enjoy this one. Okay, next up is System of a Down, Mesmerize. Yeah, I'll be surprised if nobody knows who System of a Down are. They're kind of like an alternative metal band. And I think Mesmerize is the second last album they put out, and haven't put out a new album in forever. But yeah, Mesmerized by System of a Down is just a really fun, wacky, comedic, over-the-top, aggressive, alternative metal album. It's just a really fun album and very politically driven. as everyone should know, System of a Down are very politically driven, and this album is no different. And this album was missing in my collection, and I decided to change that and pick this one up. So, yeah, System of a Down's Mesmerize is just a really, like I said, fun, wacky, comedic, politically driven alternative metal album. And yeah, I'm really glad to pick up System of a Down's. I'm really glad to pick up System of a Down's Mesmerize. A really, really fun, enjoyable album, in my opinion. So, there you go. System of a Down. Mesmerize. Okay, next up is Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark. Now, I don't think this album needs any introduction. Everyone anyone who's into Iron Maiden should know Fear of the Dark. And this is honestly probably my second favorite 90s Iron Maiden album, with the other one being the X Factor. But yeah, this is just a solid Iron Maiden album, you know? Some really good old-fashioned heavy metal through and through. And yeah, I think this album needs no introduction. I think everyone has talked about it so many times, but I needed this in my collection. So yeah, Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark is just a solid heavy metal album for the early 90s. Really good stuff. So yeah, Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark. Okay, next up is the new one by The Cure, Songs of a Lost World. Really hard to read the title, but this is the long-awaited comeback album from The Cure, with the last album released way back in 2008, and in my opinion, this was an awesome comeback album. Just a solid 80s sounding goth rock album that really does take you back to the band's early roots, you know? It's whimsical, it's moody, it's atmospheric, and can be a little bit depressing, but this is just a solid goth rock album from The Cure, and Songs of a Lost World is just a great comeback album from them. I really, really enjoy this one, and I'm really glad to finally pick this one up. So if you're into some 80s inspired goth rock album, you can't go on with The Cure in the album Songs of a Lost World. A really good comeback album from them. And speaking about comebacks, here is Linkin Park's new one, From Zero. Now when it comes to Linkin Park, I really enjoyed the first three albums, Hybrid Theory, Meteora, and Menace to Midnight. After those three albums, I just kind of lost track of what they've been doing, because none of the albums after those three ever appealed to me. So fast forward to now, and Linkin Park has a new single. I forgot her name, but she was the replacement for Chester Bennington, who tragically passed away back in 2017, I believe. And there was a lot of controversy and talk about whether what the new singer would do for her new role as Linkin Park's new single. And to me, Linkin Park's From Zero is a continuation of Menace to Midnight. This is just a really solid mainstream rock album that's harmless and not super aggressive, but it's really enjoyable. Definitely reminds me of Menace to Midnight. And while this album is not going to beat out the first two albums, it's definitely a good follow-up to Menace to Midnight, in my opinion. So yeah, this is just a solid mainstream rock album. I really, really enjoy this one. So yeah, Linkin Park's From Zero. A really good album, in my personal opinion. Okay, next up is the new one by Flesh God Apocalypse, Opera. And this album just continues what Flesh God Apocalypse does best. Play some very fast, aggressive, intense symphonic death metal with some insane female operatic vocals added to the mix. Just an excellent album through and through. Nothing more to say, it's just a really intense ride of an album, in my opinion. And a good follow-up to King. So yeah, if you're into some intense symphonic death metal, you can't go wrong with Flesh God Apocalypse Opera. The new one is definitely a good one, in my opinion. So yeah, Flesh God Apocalypse Opera. A really great album. Okay, next up is a band that I don't think anyone knows about, but if you're into some deathcore, this might interest you. And that's Life Ruinal. Yeah, Life Ruinal in the album No Saints. Now, this is just a flat out, straight up deathcore album. If you're into bands like Whitechapel and Suicide Silence, this band's music will sound very familiar. You know, it's heavy, it's down-tuned, it's aggressive, it has those chuggy riffs. And yeah, it's pretty much your standard, straight up, no fills deathcore album. But I do like my deathcore once in a while, and I do think this is a good album. Life Ruinal's No Saints would definitely appeal to fans of Suicide Silence or Whitechapel, or just deathcore in general. Like I said, it's just heavy, down-tuned, chuggy riffs, and yeah, this is just a really heavy as hell deathcore album, and I'm really glad to pick this one up, so definitely check out Life Ruinal's No Saints if you're into some straight up deathcore. Okay, next up is a band that I've always liked, but I'm not like a huge fan of them, but I decided to pick this one up just for the hell of it. And that's Breaking Benjamin's Aurora. Now when it comes to Breaking Benjamin, I like a few songs here and there, and I only own the album Phobia, but I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan of Breaking Benjamin, but I do like them. And I decided to pick up Aurora from Walmart when they had it over there, so I figured why not? And this is actually a compilation of all the hit songs done in symphonic, ballad, acoustic kind of way. So yeah, all the hit songs are pretty much just been softened up to be more acoustic sounding, ballad sounding, and it's nice. It's a decent rendition of the hit songs, and you know, if you just want to hear something that's like kind of like ballad and acoustic sounding, it's just symphonic, I guess. This is a pretty decent compilation to pick up if you're a Breaking Benjamin fan. Not really a mandatory buy, but I'm glad to pick up anyways. So yeah, Breaking Benjamin's Aurora. Yeah, sorry if that description wasn't too specific. I still need to give that more of a listen, but that's how I can describe it as. So moving on. And the last CD that I'm going to show off in this collection update is Hoobastank's The Reason. Yes, Hoobastank's are like a mainstream alternative rock band, but not gonna lie, I do like a few songs off this album. Like the hit song The Reason and Same Direction, Out of Control. And yeah, I do like a few songs off this album, and Hoobastank's The Reason is surprisingly good if you're into some mainstream alternative rock music. And yeah, just something that I picked up just because of those songs I mentioned, but it's a good one if you're into alternative rock. So yeah, Hoobastank's the reason. And that's pretty much it. That's my collection update. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. And let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So um don't know when my next video is going to be, but hopefully everyone enjoys this one. So take care and see you next time, whenever that will be.